In today's video, we're going to take a trip to the Charleston Tea Garden, home of American classic tea. I'll be unboxing my brand new tea set, and then you and I are going to bake a French strawberry cake together. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Paula, and this is Relatively Refined. Let's get started. Well, we are starting out today at the Charleston Tea Garden, formerly known as the Charleston Tea Plantation. It's located on 127 acres that used to be a potato farm in Wadmalaw Island in South Carolina, right in the heart of the Low Country. Wadmalaw Island has the perfect climate for the tea plant, the Camellia sinensis, to flourish. It has sandy soil, a subtropical climate, and gets an average of 52 inches of rain every year. In 1963, a gentleman by the name of William Barclay Hall purchased the potato farm and converted it to the tea garden. Mr. Hall is a third-generation tea taster who received his formal training during a 4-year apprenticeship in London, England. He brought over tea plants which had been flourishing in Somerville, South Carolina, and transplanted them to the tea garden here in Wadmalaw. And then in 2003, he partnered with the Bigelow family of the world-famous Bigelow Tea Company, who bought the plantation and retained Mr. Hall as their chief tea blender and tea taster. It is an absolutely gorgeous place to visit if you're ever in South Carolina. You can tour the grounds, and you can also take a tour of the factory where you learn so much about how tea is made. I did not know that all tea comes from the same plant, the Camellia sinensis plant, which originated in China. There are hundreds of varieties of the Camellia sinensis, and the tea garden has over 300 different varieties grown on its land. When you take a tour of the factory, you will learn that there are essentially 3 different types of teas. There is black tea, green tea, and white tea. And there is also a 4th type called oolong, which is a form of a black tea. The difference in the teas has to do with the amount of oxidation or exposure to the air that the tea leaf gets. Black tea has the most oxidation, giving it its dark black color. That's the tea that most of us are most familiar with. The English breakfast, the Irish breakfast tea, Earl Grey, and so forth. Those are all black teas. Black teas tend to have the highest caffeine content, and they tend to have a strong and robust flavor. That has to do with the fact that they are more oxidized than the other types of tea. Another type of tea is green tea. Green tea has about half as much caffeine as a black tea. It's usually green or yellowish in color and has a very mild taste and a light body. Green tea is harvested and then immediately it is either steamed or pan-fired in order to halt the oxidation process. By stopping the oxidation soon after the leaves are harvested, gives green tea its bright color. The leaves do not turn as brown as they do with black tea, so they stay greener in color, and therefore the tea itself tends to be greener in color. After the oxidation is stopped, the tea leaves are rolled or pressed into their final shape and then dried and packaged up as green tea. There's lots of information out there about the health benefits of green tea. And then finally, we have the lovely and delicate white tea. White tea is very minimally processed and highly sought after by tea connoisseurs. It has a very light body and a mild flavor with a crisp and clean finish. It tends to be very low in caffeine, although it does have caffeine. White tea is minimally processed before it is dried and packaged. That is what gives it its very, very light color and very delicate flavor. There's a particular type of white tea called silvertip, and that is tea that is harvested and made from the very first tips and buds of the tea plant. So there's only a very small or short window in which to harvest this tea, and that makes it the most expensive of all the teas. If you are ever in Charleston, South Carolina, or the Charleston area, I highly recommend that you visit the Charleston Tea Plantation. It is a beautiful spot to bring a picnic lunch. You can take the tour. It's just lovely. And they have a really fun gift shop. So when you're all done with your trolley ride and your tea education, you can head on into the gift shop and pick up some American classic tea, which is grown and produced right there in Wadmalaw Island. Inside the gift shop, they have this wonderful tea sampling bar where you can try all kinds of the different tea blends. We had so much fun tasting each of the different blends. They do have an online store as well, so if you are interested in purchasing some of this tea, you can go on to the charlestonteagarden.com and order yourself some American classic tea. And here is a shot of all of their different products, their tea products, and you can be sure that I did bring home a few canisters. All right, well, let's head back home to bake a little something and brew up a pot of this American classic tea. So my mom, knowing my love of tea, got me this really wonderful little love gift. It's not even that little. It's fabulous. And I picked it up when I was visiting her in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to bring it home and share the unboxing of it with you. So we are going to unbox my little love gift from my mother. It is from Williams-Sonoma, and it is this beautiful, let me make a little room here for you, teapot, creamer, and sugar. So here is the teapot, and I will insert some close-up footage so you can see it, but is it not absolutely gorgeous? It's a little bit chinoiserie inspired, has gorgeous colors on it, greens and pinks with this gold top. I love it. All right, let me get out the creamer. So cute. It is, let me see if it has the pattern on the bottom. It does not say the pattern on the bottom of that, but I can look it up and I'll put a link in the description box for this set if you are interested in it. And here is the sugar dish. How cute is this? So, given the fact that we have this beautiful tea set, I thought it would be fitting for us to make something to go with afternoon tea and enjoy some afternoon tea out of this beautiful teapot, especially since we've been inspired by our visit to the Charleston Tea Garden. So let me get this washed up, and then we will head into the kitchen to start baking a beautiful French strawberry cake. Now that we have the tea set unboxed, I need to head to the market to get some strawberries and some flowers to arrange for our tea time treat today. Won't you come with me? Well, I am back from the market. I ran up to Publix. I got some of these beautiful strawberries. I was hoping they would have local strawberries, but I do not think that these are local. It's raining here today, or I would go and pick some myself. I also got a beautiful salad. I get these salads. They're pre-made by the Publix deli, and they are delicious. They have fruit, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries, and lettuce. And it's $5 for this salad, and I can get at least 2 lunches out of that for school. I pair it with this Good Culture cottage cheese. This is my favorite cottage cheese. I love it. It's not too runny or watery. I like my cottage cheese to kind of have the small curds and not be very watery. So I pair those 2 things together, and I can get a couple of lunches out of that. I also got some ground turkey and some coleslaw mix. I'm going to make a recipe I like to call egg roll in a bowl. It's delicious. You just kind of saute up your ground turkey, add in your coleslaw mix, and I happen to love cabbage. And you add, soy sauce, ginger, Chinese 5-spice. It's wonderful, and serve it in a bowl. And you can serve it over rice or just serve it as is. And then I did pick up this bouquet of white roses. I recently thrifted, and I don't think I've shown it in a haul yet. Let me show you up here, this beautiful crystal rose bowl. And it was just $1, and it's beautiful. And I have been hunting for one of these for a while. So I'm going to get these flowers in that rose bowl and use those for our tea table today. I thought white would be perfect. It wouldn't compete with the beautiful colors in the tea set. So let me go ahead and get these groceries put up and get our flowers prepped, and then we will get to work on our French strawberry cake. All right, I am going to get these flowers in this rose bowl. And I did read one time where if you cut your rose stems under running water, it's supposed to be better for them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me get the water in the rose bowl first. I'll add the flower food and some water. And a rose bowl has a narrow opening. I don't know if you can see that. It's a small opening so that you don't need as many flowers in there. I'm just going to clip off the leaves so that none of the leaves are under the water. And let me just see. All right, that's about the length I want those. Oh, and I said, I read about clipping them underwater, and I didn't do that. So here we go. I'll give it a try on this one and see if that makes a difference. All right. I've got those. I don't know that it's going to make a whole lot of difference, but let me just pull off some of these leaves because they can introduce bacteria into the water. So you don't want the leaves to get into the water. Let me go ahead and get some greenery from the yard and bring that in, and then I will add that to the rose bowl. I think the white roses were the perfect choice to go with the beautiful colors of the tea set. That will look beautiful on our tea table. And now it is time to try our hand at making the French strawberry cake. Okay, I've got my apron on. The first thing I'm going to do, or the first thing I did actually, was to take my springform pan and line it with parchment paper. This cake is made in a springform pan, and it is a French strawberry cake. Now, I've not made it before, so you and I will see together how this turns out. All right, let me get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cream together a stick of butter that's been softened. Put it in there with my impeccably clean hands. And a cup of granulated sugar. So I'm going to pour that right in there. And then I'm going to turn my mixer on and stir that together until it is all combined and fluffy. So that has been mixing for about 4 minutes, and it said to mix it up until it was completely combined and pale yellow. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in 2 eggs one at a time. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in 2 eggs one at a time, and I'm going to mix them thoroughly after each egg. So there's 1 egg, and let me get this going. And I'll add in the second egg. And the last thing that's going to go in our wet ingredients will be the vanilla. And that's the homemade vanilla that I made. Oh, wow. When did I make that? Last summer, almost a year ago. Let me grab my vanilla. I'm going to add in, let's see, what am I going to add in here? 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. So these are my new measuring spoons that my mom gave me when I was down in Florida. And I love them because they're narrow enough to fit inside the spice jars. So here's 1 teaspoon and a half. And I'm going to just kind of eyeball that. All right. And a little drop more for good measure. All right. And I will give our wet ingredients one last mix. Now what we're going to do is we're going to combine the dry ingredients. And let me see, I'm going to mix together, this is 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that, I'm going to add 1.25 teaspoons of baking powder. So I've got my baking powder. So here's 1 teaspoon. One and 1/4. Let's see. These go all the way down to 1/8, which is excellent. I've not ever had that before. And 1/4. And then we're going to add in the salt, and that's 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It doesn't want to come out. There it comes. All right, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to stir that together. And then the last ingredient that I need to grab is sour cream. Okay, so I've got 1/2 cup of sour cream. You could also substitute Greek yogurt if you didn't have any sour cream. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate the dry ingredients with the sour cream, beginning and ending with the flour mixture. So let me add some of this flour mixture into my bowl, the bowl of my mixture. Of my mixer, excuse me. Add that right in there. And I'll put that on low. Mix that together. Now I'll add a little bit of the sour cream. All right, I'm going to add the last of the flour mixture in there. Turn that on and mix that up. All right, now that is mixed. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in my strawberries. And I have 2 cups of sliced strawberries. So let me scrape this down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently fold in the 2 cups of strawberries into the batter. That looks so good. And as I said, I've not made this before, so we will both see together how this turns out. All right, now I've got my strawberries folded into the batter, and I'm going to put the batter very carefully into this springform pan. So let me start by putting it in there, and then we'll spread it around. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little topping on here. And the topping is made up of 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar and 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar mixed together. So here is the powdered sugar. And here is the granulated sugar. All right, I will give this a little stir to get that all mixed up. And then I will sprinkle that on the top of the cake. Okay, here is our cake in our springform pan. And I'm going to sprinkle this over the top. Make sure. Yep. Just wanted to double check that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And indeed it is. And I will link this recipe in the description box of this video so that if it turns out as delicious as I think it will and you're interested in making it, you can go to that recipe. Okay, now this is going to go in the 350-degree oven for 35 to 45 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. So let's pop this in the oven. While that's in the oven, I'm just going to clean up in here and get my kitchen back in order, and then we will take it out of the oven and see how it turns out. All right, well, here's the moment of truth. It's totally cooled, and I'm going to take it out of this springform pan. And hopefully it is as delicious as it looks. Oh, wow, that is beautiful. I'm going to plate this up, brew a pot of tea, and then sit down and have a little afternoon snack with you. For today's tea, I decided on some Charleston breakfast tea from the Charleston Tea Garden. Won't you join me? Are you hungry? You hungry? You want some tea too? Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed our visit to the tea garden, our baking of this beautiful French strawberry cake, and I'm so glad you can join me for a cup of tea. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for your support of our channel. We would love it if you would subscribe if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up. And here are a few more videos that you can watch until our next upload.